Inspiring Millionaire reveals heartwarming ACT of change for waitress who lost her job. Helping him, Emma stood behind the counter at Rosie's diner, her black apron speckled with flour and the tears of a weary soul. The diner, a beacon of comfort food in the bustling city, was her second home. But right now, with rain pouring outside like an unending monsoon, it felt more like a storm inside her heart. She could already feel the weight of impending closure pressing down on her. Her recent job loss, due to the diner's financial struggles, felt like a cruel twist of fate. As the icy droplets fell against the window, she served warm coffee to regulars, plastering a smile on her face, even as her heart steadily sank. As fate would have it, on that drizzly afternoon, Jake entered Rosie's diner. He was no ordinary customer. He was a self-made millionaire. Years ago, he had grown up in this very diner, surrounded by laughter and the smell of fried bacon. Now, he was back not for a nostalgia trip, but to reconnect with the community he had neglected in his rise to wealth. But as he sat in a booth, Emma could see the stormy clouds gather in his blue eyes. Something wasn't right. Everything all right? Emma asked, placing a steaming cup in front of him. Beneath her bravado was a genuine care, a motherly warmth she tried to spread even on her toughest days. "My dad's sick, it's bad," Jake admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. The vulnerability in his tone caught her off guard. She sensed the weight he carried. "Want to talk about it?" Her words were gentle, yet the heaviness lingered in the air. He simply shook his head, but Emma saw in his eyes a flicker of gratitude for her kindness. In that moment, their worlds collided, two souls battling their own storms, yet finding comfort in the tiny flame of human connection. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the rain picked up, news spread among the community like wildfire. Rosie's diner was in trouble. Emma stood outside, taped notices of closure right across the window, her heart breaking like glass shattering on pavement. The makeshift initiative from nearby businesses fizzled out, leaving her drowning in hopelessness. Another job opportunity loomed far away, a chance to escape the chaos, but leaving would tear her kids from their roots, from everything they loved. Jake, witnessing Emma holding it all together, felt an unfamiliar urge to help as memories from his own childhood flashed before him. He couldn't turn his back now. He devised a plan, one that would breathe life back into the diner and bridge gaps he had created for years. But he knew that Emma might brush his aid aside. Her pride was fierce. At the community meeting, nerves buzzed as Jake took the floor. He recounted Emma's story, unraveling her struggles before a rapt audience. Eyes brimmed with tears, hearts swelled with empathy. Emma felt the heat of the crowd upon her, her chest tightening. All at once, their gaze turned towards her. This was her moment. Would she embrace vulnerability, or shrink back into her fear of losing control? Hope teetered on the precipice, waiting for her answer. Would the community rally behind her? Or would the connection that sparked with Jake flame out before it ignited? Emma's heart raced as she faced the crowd, their expectant gazes amplifying the weight of her circumstance. She felt small, almost invisible in a room full of eager faces. Would they see her as just a waitress? Or as the mother fighting to keep her family's home alive? She swallowed hard, her throat dry, but deep inside, she knew she couldn't step back now. Taking a deep breath, she began, "I never thought I'd be here, talking about my struggles like this." Her voice wavered but steadied with the warmth of the community surrounding her. Rosie's diner isn't just a place to eat. It's been my safe space, my work home, for years, a place where I've shared laughs, comforted people, and, yes, even made mistakes. Her eyes darted across the faces of her neighbors, recognizing the kind souls who had become family. And now, she continued, feeling the weight of her emotions constrict her chest, "I'm terrified of losing everything." Emma glanced over at Jake, his presence like a steady anchor through the storm. She could feel the pulse of connection, the silent support urging her to press on. "I've tried to do everything right, But sometimes life throws you curveballs. I'm standing here today not just for me, but for my kids, who deserve a home." A murmur rose, punctuated by nods of understanding. People in her community knew struggle. They recognized her fight, fires of resilience flickering in their eyes. Emma felt her strength grow. With every word, she peeled layers off her heart, revealing the rawness of her journey. "I never wanted pity. I wanted hope. I wanted to show my kids that it's okay to fall and to rise again." Jake watched, applauding silently how Emma transformed her vulnerability into a rallying call, turning the tide of despair into a hopeful message. He could sense the tide of compassion building in the room, the warmth of kinship wrapping around them like a blanket on a frigid night. When she finished, the room erupted into applause, an outpouring of love that filled the space with a palpable energy. Emma felt her cheeks flush with gratitude. There was power in sharing her truth, a shared understanding that transcended generations. "That was beautiful, Emma," someone shouted from the back. More voices joined, echoing their support. "We will save Rosie's Diner." There's something about communities that can uplift when it seems all hope is lost. That day, kindness became a structure, bracing against the storm, but it wasn't enough just yet. Jake stood up, heart swelling with sentiment. I want to help. Together, we can raise funds, maybe even organize a community event." The enthusiasm in his voice poured energy into the room. A light flickered. "Let us do a diner-wide fundraiser. We'll invite everyone. Music, food, everything," someone suggested, igniting a spark in the crowd. As ideas flew, excitement bubbled, but Emma's heart raced for another reason. This was real. Each promise, each smile, held the potential to transform her world. But will it be enough to save the diner? Will those memories she fought for find a way to survive? The darkness outside mirrored her doubt, hovering like a dense fog. Emma took a breath, feeling the weight of the challenge ahead. What if this moment of hope shattered just like the last? As the crowd began to plan, she realized the biggest obstacle wasn't just finances, it was overcoming her fear of reaching for help. And the clock was ticking. Would she be brave enough to let the community into her life completely? Or would the vulnerability she just displayed slip through her fingers like the rain outside? As the buzz of excitement filled the room, Emma stood at the center of it all, her heart fluttering like the handwritten signs the kids had made for the diner. Each idea shared made her pulse quicken in anticipation. Music, games, a silent auction, every bit of energy felt electric, pulling at her like the tides. Jake turned to her, eyes bright with passion. "We'll make this happen, Emma. I promise." His confidence was infectious, and she found herself drawn to his strength. She fought against the tides of self-doubt, but felt the currents shift slightly. Maybe, just maybe, they could do this together. Yet in the back of her mind, the tension lingered. The weight of her worries kept echoing. What if donations fell short? What if the turnout wasn't what they hoped for? It wasn't just the diner at stake, it was her family's future. Failure felt like a shadow lurking, threatening to engulf the small light of hope she had only just ignited. The community buzzed with determination. Emma started to see familiar faces rise, the retiree with the well-loved guitar, her neighbor with a catering business, and even little Mia, who had a wild imagination for games. Amidst their excitement, Emma realized she had never truly let them in. She was always the one giving, and now she had to allow herself to be vulnerable again. As she stood there, in the chaos of planning, the door swung open. The familiar ding of the bell sliced through the chatter. Emma turned just as a tall figure entered. Her heart did a strange leap when she recognized him. It was Mr. Thompson, a local businessman known for his philanthropy. He stood out with his tailored blazer and polished shoes. But what caught Emma's attention most was the gentle smile on his face as he approached. "Emma," he said, his voice smooth as honey. "I heard about your fundraiser, and I wanted to help." He held a check in his hand, an amount that made Emma's breath catch. It was generous, more than she could have ever imagined. A wave of gratitude surged through her, mixed with disbelief. "You really want to help?" she asked, unsure if she was dreaming. "Of course." He smiled warmly, his eyes reflecting sincerity. "I believe in second chances, and it sounds like this diner deserves one." The crowd began to gather, sensing the moment unfold. Conversations halted. All eyes were on them as Emma clutched the check, Feeling its weight go beyond just money, it was an emblem of faith and belief. She could see her community's spirit in Mr. Thompson's gesture, and for the first time in a long time, she felt their fight was truly collective. "Do you want to say a few words?" Jake whispered, excitement lacing his tone, but Emma shook her head. She didn't want to lose the moment. Instead, she turned to the gathering crowd. "This is just the beginning, isn't it? If we come together, we can create something beautiful." The crowd cheered, faces alive with renewed hope. Emma's heart soared, buoyed by the warmth of connection. But still, worry gnawed at her, a question that hung in the air like a silent storm cloud. What if Mr. Thompson's help wasn't enough? What if, despite their best efforts, Rosie's diner faced its closing day? Emma swallowed hard, the gravity of her fears lingering just beneath her grateful smile. As she looked at Jake, she wondered if she was truly prepared to let her community into her world fully. Could they carry the burden that often felt too heavy for one person alone? With the fire of motivation growing stronger within her, Emma realized it was time to take the next step. But as she felt the weight of hope and fear entwined, a strange, comforting realization flickered. Maybe, just maybe, she wasn't alone in this fight. But would that be enough to carry through the unknown challenges ahead? Emma stepped off the small stage, her heart racing from the whirlwind of emotions. The check felt heavy in her hands, no longer just an object, but a lifeline. She glanced around the room. Faces were lit with enthusiasm, kindled by the shared dreams of a bustling diner. "Wow, Emma, that was amazing." Jake's voice cut through her thoughts. His smile was bright, and for a moment, the worries that clouded her mind faded. "Thanks," she replied, though her voice trembled slightly. I hope we can live up to this." Jake nodded, gripping her shoulder, grounding her with his presence. "We will. We have each other and everyone here." He gestured to the crowd that was buzzing with excitement again, animated voices mixing, laughter spilling into the air, but Emma felt an ache deep inside. The gratitude from Mr. Thompson was like a strong current, pulling her toward a shore she desperately hoped to reach. Yet, doubt still floated in her mind. What if this was just a moment, a fleeting encouragement that would fade like a summer sunset? "Let us get to planning," she said, her voice firmer now. Managing to shake off her uncertainty, she began to organize the crowd into teams, each with a role to play. She felt a flicker of excitement as people chimed in with their ideas. Posters were being made, food planned, and games envisioned, all like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle falling into place. But soon after, a voice broke through. "Emma." It was Kathy, a sweet woman who had worked late shifts with Emma ever since she could remember. "What about the permits? We need those to make this official." Emma's heart sank. "Right. I'll figure it out." As she grabbed a notepad to jot down tasks, doubt crept back in. Thoughts of permits, logistics, and spreading herself too thin loomed. Would it really be possible to pull together everyone's talents in time? Just then, Mia rushed up to her, the same spark of innocence in her eyes. "Can I help with the games? I have the best ideas." Emma couldn't help but smile at Mia's enthusiasm. "Absolutely. We need all the creativity we can get." Mia grinned, her braids bouncing as she ran back to rally more kids, and Emma felt a flicker of warmth. It was that spirit, the simple joy of connection that had initially drawn her to the diner. Yet reality crashed back as she grabbed her phone, scrolling through a series of unaddressed emails, each a reminder of the diner's current state. "Emma, Emma." It was Jake again, waving her over. With urgency in his voice, he pointed toward the entrance. She turned to see a group of new faces stepping inside, their expressions betraying curiosity. To her surprise, they were young people, holding cameras and wearing branded t-shirts. The logo sparked a flicker of recognition. They were from a local news outlet. "They're here to cover the fundraiser," Jake explained. Emma's heart raced. "Oh no, what if I screw up in front of them?" But before she could dwell on her fears, Mr. Thompson approached. "Emma, wonderful news. I spoke to the team. They're thrilled to highlight your cause. This could bring in even more awareness and support." The weight of her worries felt like it was on the verge of crushing her. The pressure was rising. More attention meant higher expectations. What if she started? But a look of understanding from Mr. Thompson stopped her short. "You're doing great, Emma. Just be yourself." His confidence was infectious again, yet the pit in her stomach broadened. Emma looked at Jake, then to the newcomers. They had come here excited about something they didn't yet understand. She took a deep breath and felt the strings of her heart tighten. Was she ready to open her life to the world, to the struggles and triumphs that had led her here? What if, for once, she allowed herself to be vulnerable? The moment hung unsteady in the air. The next part of the journey awaited her, and with her heart racing, she stepped forward to share her story and fight not just for the diner, but for the community that wrapped around her like a warm embrace. She faced the camera. She couldn't help but wonder, was she ready for what was next? Would vulnerability become her greatest strength, or would it expose her insecurities? Emma squared her shoulders, the weight of the camera's gaze pressing against her. With a shaky breath, she began to speak. Hi, I'm Emma, and this diner is more than just a place to eat. It's a part of our community. Her voice floated softly at first, but with each word, she felt a simmering warmth building inside. As she continued, she shared not just the struggles they faced, but the little victories too. How every cup of coffee poured and every warm smile exchanged created ripples of connection. The reporters listened intently, adjusting their cameras as she spoke. Each nod from Mr. Thompson felt like a boost of energy, a reminder that she was not alone in this fight. Then came the question she dreaded, the one lurking in the back of her mind. What inspired you to hold this fundraiser? One of the reporters asked, her eyes bright with curiosity. Emma's heart stumbled at the sudden intimacy, but the sincerity in their faces compelled her to answer honestly. I want to give my friends a chance to show that we can turn things around together. The vulnerability in her voice surprised her. With each word, it felt like she uncovered a piece of herself she had kept hidden not just from others, but from herself. The cameras captured the moments, the flicker of hope dancing in her eyes, the tremor of her lips when she spoke about the warmth of community. She realized, in that instant, that being vulnerable didn't mean weakness. It was an invitation to connect, to share not just the highs but the lows too. As the questions flowed, more people began to gather, eyes glued to her, some nodding, some wiping tears. Their support felt like an invisible thread weaving them together. For the first time in a long while, Emma could feel the heaviness lift. Just so you know, Emma, this report is going to reach a lot of people, another reporter chimed in. You might inspire support beyond your wildest dreams. Hope ignited in her chest. The idea that they could come together for something bigger could be the fuel they needed to keep going. The meeting dissolved into laughter and chatter as interviews wrapped up, and the two reporters promised to return for the fundraiser. Jake clapped her on the back, grinning from ear to ear. You did amazing, Emma. I can't believe how natural you were. I'm still shaking. Emma chuckled, her heart buoyed by exhilaration and disbelief. Yet, as the buzz of anticipation filled the diner, another wave of self-doubt surged inside her. Would people really rally behind them? The excitement swirled in the air, and Emma glanced around the room. Everyone was pitching in, collaborating, throwing around ideas until they bounced like a lively ping-pong match. Mia paraded a colorful banner she had painted, and Kathy shared recipes that had been passed down through generations. It felt electric. Yet amid the joy, a small voice whispered in Emma's mind, casting shadows. Would they really be enough? Would the story they were crafting be worth sharing? As the evening wore on, laughter echoed around the diner. The sense of community filled every corner. Emma realized they were creating something beautiful, regardless of the outcome. Then, from the back, a figure stood up. It was Mr. Thompson, one of their greatest supporters. He raised his glass, capturing everyone's attention. To Emma and this diner, may we find strength, not just in the challenges we face, but in the love we share. Cheers erupted, voices merging into a collective wave of sound that washed over her. Yet, as these moments of joy pulsated with energy, Emma found herself holding her breath. What came next? What challenges lay ahead when the cameras were gone and the reality set in? As if sensing her thoughts, Jake nudged her gently. You know we're in this together, right? Yeah, but Emma hesitated, fighting against the tide of uncertainty. Before she could finish, Mia bounced back to them. Emma, let us plan the best games ever. Everyone is so excited. You'll see. The sparkle in Mia's eyes ignited something fierce within Emma. If this was their chance to shine, she wasn't going to back down. As they mingled, discussing ideas further, the night felt alive. Yet somewhere in the depths of her heart, Emma couldn't shake the niggling question. Would the support they gained be enough to withstand the trials ahead? The air buzzed with excitement, but a clench of anxiety returned to her stomach. The journey ahead was uncertain, but it was theirs to embrace. What surprises awaited them just around the bend? The next few days flew by in a whirlwind. Emma, fueled by a mix of hope and apprehension, found herself immersed in the preparations for the fundraiser. Posters and flyers decorated every flat surface in the diner, bearing the vibrant colors of her dreams. Each morning, their little diner filled with laughter and purpose as everyone, friends and customers alike, contributed their skills. Jake took charge of organizing games, his enthusiasm infectious. Mia and Kathy brainstormed delicious menu items for the event, each recipe more nostalgic than the last. The idea was to make everyone feel like they were stepping into a warm embrace, a reminder of home. Yet, with every step forward, the shadows deepened in Emma's mind. She found moments stealing away from the chatter, where she would stare out the window, daydreaming about the turnout. Would they fill the diner with enough people? Would they make a difference? There were whispers of uncertainty, tucked away in the corners of her heart. One quiet afternoon, Mr. Thompson strolled in, a gentle smile crossing his weathered face. "Emma," he said, leaning against the counter, "I've seen what you've started here." His eyes twinkled with a blend of admiration and trust. "People need connection more than ever. You and your friends, you're planting seeds of hope." His words lit a flicker of warmth inside her, displacing some clouds of doubt. But darkness still clawed at her resolve. But what if it's not enough? She voiced her fears, the question escaping before she could stop it. "Sometimes, love is all it takes," he replied earnestly, the weight of experience evident in his voice. "Just look around you. You've already made a difference." Those words lingered, echoing in her mind as they decorated and planned. Emma began to see the faces of her friends, the laughter they shared, and the collective dreams nestled in every bite of the food they prepared on the night of the fundraiser. The diner buzzed like never before. For their dreams? The moment hung in the air, thick with expectation. Emma could feel the eyes of the diner flicking nervously between her and the man. She could sense his presence, magnetic yet unsettling, drawing her in but raising the hairs on the back of her neck. "What do you mean exactly?" Her voice wavered just slightly, a rush of adrenaline fueling her curiosity. He leaned back, showing a hint of amusement as he surveyed the lively scene around them. "I see kindness here. Warmth," he replied, his voice smooth like velvet but laced with an undertone that hinted at something more. "This place, it has the potential for real impact." His words fluttered through the air, igniting Emma's instincts. What kind of impact? Was he truly here to support their cause? Or was he simply a curious observer? Before she could probe further, Jake bounced over, grinning from ear to ear. "Emma, we're about to start the pie-eating contest. You should join us." He noticed the stranger and quickly added, "Oh, sorry, I didn't catch your name." "James," he replied, extending his hand. "And I think I'll stick around and see how this contest plays out." Emma took a step back, letting Jake lead the conversation while she processed the unexpected ebb and flow of excitement. She was torn between the infectious anticipation of the contest and the uncertainty that swirled around James. As the contest began, cheers erupted, and laughter filled the air, washing away Emma's concerns at least temporarily. Families leaned in, cheering their loved ones on. In moments like these, the diner felt like a sanctuary. Community stitched together by laughter and joy masked her worries. Yet, even amidst the celebration, Emma could feel James's gaze lingering on her. She glanced over, catching his eye again. There was something intense about it, a depth that made her stomach flutter with nervous energy. As the contest wound down, pie plates cleared, and laughter gave way to happy chatter. Emma poured herself a cup of coffee and decided to take a break. She made her way to an empty corner of the diner for just a moment to catch her breath, thoughts racing. Unexpected crowds, delightful chaos, she whispered under her breath, smiling softly. But then, a silence fell over the din as she turned to find James standing right behind her. "Great event you have here," he said, his voice low and serious now. "But I think you need a push to take it to the next level." "Next level?" She raised her eyebrows, suddenly alert. "What do you have in mind?" He leaned closer, his intent gaze narrowing. I want to help you guys out. I'm not any ordinary customer. I can make a real difference. Emma's heart pounded in her chest. Was he talking about money? Support? The thought both thrilled and terrified her. Could she trust him? By how much? She asked cautiously, yet a flutter of hope ignited in her. James's expression softened. Let us just say it's enough to turn this little diner into a cornerstone of the community, a place where people not only find a meal, but a purpose. Emma was stunned, her mind spinning as she processed his words. What he was suggesting could change everything for her, Jake, Mia, and Kathy. But was it enough to solve the deeper issues that her heart wrestled with? Could it truly create lasting change for the community they loved so dearly? But before she could respond, the door swung open, and an unexpected figure stepped inside the mayor of the town, followed by a local news crew. The atmosphere shifted instantly, a wave of urgency brushing through the diner. Emma felt her breath catch again. What was happening? This wasn't how she imagined the night unfolding. With all eyes now on the door, she turned back to James, but he was already slipping away into the crowd, leaving behind only a whisper of promise and an air of mystery. The questions flooded her mind. What was his true intention? Would they really get the support needed? And amidst this new chaos, would she be able to hold on to the dream they had all fought so hard to create? As she prepared to face the mayor and the cameras, the pressing weight of destiny loomed heavier than ever. Emma was standing at a precipice, caught between hope and fear, with the possibilities of the night on the edge of changing everything yet again. What lay ahead could either seal their future or tear it apart. And she needed to know, could one man's promise really spell transformation, or was it just another fleeting moment, fading into the uncertainty of tomorrow? Emma steadied herself as the mayor strode toward her, flanked by cameras and microphones. The noise in the diner faded to a dull hum, and she felt the heat rising in her cheeks. This wasn't just another event. It felt monumental, like they were on the cusp of something life-changing. Emma, the mayor greeted with a wide smile. I'm thrilled to see the community coming together like this. It's truly inspiring. She managed a nod, her mind an electric storm of thoughts. James's looming offer flashed through her mind, an uninvited intruder mixing with the rising tension of the moment. She needed to focus. Thank you, Mayor, she said, trying to match his enthusiasm. We want to create a place that really serves our community, a hub for connection. I can see that, the mayor replied, glancing around at the gathering crowd. We need more spots like this. The energy is palpable. Emma felt encouraged. She had a small voice in something big. But then her gaze shot back to where she had last seen James. How could anyone not notice the brilliance of his offer, or the mystery he embodied? We're here to promote the small businesses that make this town thrive, the mayor continued. We'd like to start with you, Emma. He gestured to the cameras. Why don't you tell us how you came up with the idea for tonight's event? The pressure twisted her stomach, but the warmth of their supportive crowd ignited a flicker of confidence. Well, she began, feeling buoyed by the energy of the people around her. We wanted to blend fun and purpose. It's about more than just feeding people. It's about creating a family atmosphere and supporting each other. The mayor nodded in appreciation, encouraging her. The cameras captured her every word, and she found a rhythm. Emma spoke of the struggles they faced, the late nights spent organizing events, the shared laughter and tears. It felt good to voice it all, to materialize the hopes they held. As she began to speak about the challenges of maintaining the diner, Emma noticed a stir in the crowd. People were nodding along, eyes glued to her. She could see the faces of Mia, Jake, and even Kathy shining back at her, radiant with pride. You know, she continued, this diner isn't just a place for a meal. It's a gathering spot for dreams are dreams. But we need more resources, more support to continue building something special. The mayor's gaze sharpened. He leaned in closer. And what would that support look like? Emma hesitated. The specter of James's promise loomed, bright yet shadowy. Funding, volunteer work, even partnerships with local businesses that want to grow with us. Just as her words hung in the air, a voice piped up from the back, and the crowd turned. It was James, stepping out from the kitchen area, and he held a large check in his hands. My intention tonight is to back this passion project in a significant way, he announced, his deep voice cutting through the murmur of surprise. The diner collectively gasped, emotions swirling as he moved forward. I believe in what you're building here. This isn't just support. It's a commitment to creating lasting change. Emma felt her heart racing again. This was beyond what she had imagined. The glimmer from the check caught the light, and she could see the numbers written across the face of it. $20,000. Gasps filled the diner, shocked whispers traveling through the crowd like wildfire. Excitement washed over her, but her heart stuttered. Was this real? Was he really ready to do this? 20,000 can empower you to take this diner to new heights, James continued. But there's also a catch. The breath of the townspeople caught, eyes wide. I want to help shape a plan with you. We can't just throw money at it. It felt like a roller coaster, swinging between hope and tension. Emma blinked back, tears rushing to her eyes. What did this mean? Could it be true? She turned to the mayor, who looked equally stunned. This is incredible. He stammered, his voice laced with disbelief. Just listen to how you can transform this place, James urged, his glance flickering around the room. Help people come together, not just as guests, but as active participants in their community. Did she dare to hope? Was this what they needed? The diner's atmosphere was electric, loaded with anticipation. But lurking beneath her excitement was uncertainty. What else did James want? What did this partnership actually entail? She couldn't shake the feeling that with every promise came unseen strings. She processed the enormity of the moment. The hope in her heart battled her lingering fears, leaving her both elated and anxious as she faced this unexpected whirlwind. Can you build a dream, Emma? James asked softly before stepping back, almost as if he could read her inner turmoil. Daring to let herself imagine, she pondered. Would she be able to create the diner they always envisioned? Could this be their true turning point? The uncertainty churned within her. But one thing was crystal clear: tonight was just the beginning. With bated breath, she faced the crowd, eyes sparkling with newfound determination. Let us show the world what this diner can really become, she said, her voice steady. But beneath the surface, a deeper question echoed in her mind. What price would they pay for this transformation, and were they ready to embrace it? Emma stood there, her heart pounding in her chest as the crowd cheered around her. The weight of the moment hung heavy, but there was an undeniable pulse of hope coursing through the diner like the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. She could hardly believe what had just transpired. $20,000. It felt surreal, like something out of a movie. But as her gaze swept the room, she noticed not just excitement, but a glimmer of anxiety reflected back at her in the faces of her friends and fellow patrons. Mia stepped forward, a radiant grin brightening her already cheerful face. This is amazing, Emma. We're finally taking a step forward. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and the crowd erupted into applause again, but Emma's mind was still racing. Thanks, Mia, Emma replied, her voice wavering slightly. What if I can't deliver what he expects? What if I screw this up? Her words came out in a rush, barely articulated as the questions swirled within her. Hey, Jake said, stepping closer, you're not alone in this. You've got all of us here. If anyone can lead us into this next chapter, it's you. His sincere gaze grounded her for a moment, but the apprehension still lingered. The mayor took that moment to regain the crowd's attention. This is just the beginning. Opportunities like this only come once in a lifetime, and it's up to us to make the most of them, he said, his voice booming with authority. With passionate leadership and a community that believes, we can turn this diner into something extraordinary. Applause erupted once more, and for a fleeting moment, Emma felt buoyed by the crowd's energy. But then, her eyes instinctively searched for James, who stood quietly to the side, the check held firmly in his hands, and that enigmatic smile lingering on his lips. He was a beacon of promise and uncertainty all at once. What do you want from me, James? She pondered silently, battling the impulse to march up to him and demand clarity. She felt exposed, and as the applause died down, she realized she had to address the crowd again. Thank you, she started, gathering her thoughts. Thank you for believing in this vision. She took a deep breath, daring to let the hope rekindle in her chest. We will work hard to make this diner more than just a place to eat. It will be a home for our dreams. Together, we can make it happen. Her optimism stirred the crowd, and another wave of applause washed over her. But in the back of her mind, the question simmered. What if this was too much? What if the plan James wanted to shape with her became something she could not handle? As the evening progressed, Emma tried to think through the logistics. There were so many details to sort, so many decisions to be made. The diner had been her sanctuary, a place where she nurtured her creativity. Suddenly, it felt like it was being tugged into a world of business and responsibility, where everything was expected to change overnight. That night was just the beginning. But of what, exactly? New risks, new expectations, and the pressure to perform loomed large. Sipping her coffee, she felt the tremor in her hands, her stomach unsettled at the possibilities stretching out before her. As she looked around at the faces of her friends, so full of excitement and belief, she knew they were counting on her. But would she be able to deliver? When she looked into her future, would it shine bright? Or would it be clouded by the weight of that check and with it, the burden of dreams? But just as self-doubt began to creep in, a small voice cut through the noise of her thoughts. Emma. It was Mia again, and her excitement shone through. You should talk to him. Ask him how he sees this going, what he envisions. You owe it to yourself to know what you're stepping into. Emma hesitated, her heart racing at the thought of confronting James. What if she didn't like what he said? What if his vision didn't align with hers? But a spark of determination grew. She had started this journey, and she wouldn't back down now. With renewed purpose brimming within, she wiped her sweaty palms on her apron and walked straight toward him, that energy carrying her forward. As she approached, she caught James's eyes and felt a mix of anticipation and dread. James, she started, the words tumbling forth. I need to understand what this really means, because I want to make sure we're moving in the right direction. He leaned slightly closer, as if finally ready to share what might change everything. Emma, what if I told you that the real blueprint for success isn't just the money, but the commitment we both have to this community? Emma held her breath, feeling the gravity of his words. What did he truly mean? And as she steeled herself for the answers, she couldn't help but wonder, would this partnership ignite a spark of innovation or unravel everything they had built? The night was a canvas painted with hope, community, and the promise of something greater. As the fundraiser continued, Emma felt a buzzing awareness settle over her. Faces illuminated by the warm glow of the diner, people laughing and enjoying each other's company, all of them eager for a chance to connect and support what they held dear. But amidst this joyous chaos, anxiety prickled at the edges of her mind. James stood beside her now, the check an anchor of uncertainty in her hands. His eyes held depth, a mix of ambition and something unspoken that stirred the air between them. What exactly is your vision? She asked, her voice steadying against the weight of the moment. He smiled, almost mysteriously. Imagine Rosie's Diner not just as a restaurant, but as a cultural hub, a place where stories intertwine, where the community creates together. His words dripped with inspiration, a vision so vivid it pulled at her heartstrings. Can we really do that? Can I lead this? Emma felt the vulnerability creep in again, like an old, familiar shadow. Yet within that shadow danced a flicker of courage. Absolutely, James replied, unwavering. You have something most don't. Connection. This community trusts you, and that's worth everything. There was fire in his tone, and for a brief moment, the storm inside Emma began to quiet. With a deep breath, she gathered her strength and turned to the crowd, her friends, and neighbors now woven into a tapestry of support. Everyone. Her voice rang clear, capturing their attention. Tonight isn't just a fundraiser for Rosie's Diner. It's a foundation for what we can build together. Each of you is part of this evolution. This is our chance. Cheers erupted once more, but this time, Emma felt their connection deepen. She could see her neighbors nodding, their eyes filled with belief. Jake shouted, "We're with you." Mia squealed in excitement, flinging her arms around a few friends. But then, a familiar face approached the mayor, holding a folded piece of paper. "Emma, I have an idea," he said, urgency lacing his tone. "This community has spoken. We want to declare Rosie's Diner as a local heritage site. With that, we can secure grants and funds to help expand your vision." Emma's chest puffed out with pride, the warmth of gratitude flooding through her. That could change everything. Thank you, truly. But despite this newfound hope, she felt a thread of worry. Would it be enough to create something sustainable? Together we will ensure everyone feels a part of it. This diner is about family, she continued, looking into the eyes of the regulars, the newcomers, and even the camera crew still documenting their journey. It's a place for our stories. The atmosphere in the diner swelled as people rallied around the thought, walls of worry beginning to crumble. Emma felt determined, the earlier flickers of doubt transitioning into a solid foundation of resilience. And now she paused for effect, a surge of excitement building inside her. Let us build a committee to create our vision. We can focus on events, collaboration, and making this diner a piece of history. As applause erupted, Emma's heart soared. They weren't merely trying to save a business. They were creating a legacy. And suddenly, it felt tangible. Days turned into weeks. Under Emma's leadership, workflows were established, plans were laid out, and energy soared. James was there, guiding hands and hearts with his seasoned knowledge, helping to refine ideas. Every meeting buzzed with possibilities. Every brainstorm session felt electric. People threw out thoughts, dreaming bigger, and Emma learned to embrace each moment of vulnerability, finding strength within it. Mia hosted game nights, drawing in families. Kathy brought in recipes that connected generations, filling the diner with laughter and nostalgia. Love radiated through every bit of work, the diner transforming into a welcoming space that resonated with life. Then came the day of the grand relaunch, the culmination of all their efforts. Decorations adorned the walls, a vibrant tapestry telling stories of struggle and triumph. People gathered as plates of food filled tables everyone, from the mayor to families that had grown together, all celebrating not just the diner, but the spirit that bonded them. Emma, standing in the center, felt a rush of emotions. The weight of her journey didn't feel like a burden anymore. It was a badge of honor. It symbolized every brave step taken alongside her community. And right there, as laughter soared and hearts swelled, she understood this was what she had yearned for all along, connection. As she looked around, her eyes found Jake, who raised his glass in salute. To the diner, to the stories, and to us. To us, echoed the chorus back, a cacophony of hope and joy knitting their fates together, hearts beating as one. Emma smiled brighter than she ever had. They had not just saved the diner. They had built something beautiful together, ushering in a new chapter, unafraid of the storms that might come. At that moment, with love wrapped tightly around them, she realized they thrived not just because of money, but because of the connections forged in vulnerability. As future challenges crept on the horizon, she faced them head-on, embraced by a community, ready for whatever would come next. And just as her heart danced with the music ringing out, she felt a warm sensation, a promise that whatever lay ahead, they would meet it together. So here's the deal. If you felt moved by this journey, if this story ignited a fire in your heart, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support and ensure you never miss a story that might just change lives. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm, and comment below. I want to hear how you felt about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread the message of hope, community, and resilience.